What's up, Bro Mob, and welcome to the debut episode. On today's show, we're going to review offseason news and notes, talk about some players that are poised to break out, and face off in our first ever Broz Battle. Sit back, grab your popcorn, and enjoy. Yo, welcome to the show.
Time to dominate, baby.
We are your hosts, Chad and Brian. Today is Monday, April 8th, and as you heard me say before, the debut episode of the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Brian, what's up, man?
Not much, man. Feeling good.
How excited are you?
I'm pumped, man. Absolutely pumped. I've been waiting for this. We've been working on this for months, and here we are. We made it, dude. We made it.
We finally made it. Day one.
Now the real work begins. I feel like we put all this foundation up, and now we got to actually build a house.
Yeah, we've done all this fake work, and the real work is coming.
That's right, fake work. Fake work's more fun than real work. I feel like
it usually is.
So how's your weekend going, man? What have you been up to?
It's been a good weekend. I went to the Aquarium yesterday with my fiance and some friends over in Chicago.
Okay, cool.
As our listeners might not know, I live in Wisconsin, and Brian lives halfway across the nation over in Arizona.
In a desert.
In a terrible destination.
Actually, it's not terrible. Love this state, and I'm gonna need you to take that one off the record.
Yeah, I'm not going to. When you have months of the year that you can't step outside without physically frying, no, thank you. Well,
it does get blazing hot here. I'm not gonna lie. There are days where I wake up and in the summer, and I really don't even want to look outside, let alone go outside.
Sounds pleasant. Anyway, I was at the aquarium, saw some fish. They had some sharks. Snuck into a dolphin show they had going on. Ooh. So you saw the dolphins jumping around,
nice,
doing little tricks and stuff. But interesting enough, we also saw an exhibit that had some monkeys in it, which instantly triggered my brain like, wait a second, this is an aquarium. These are not aquatic animals.
Yeah. Why are there monkeys at an aquarium?
They bring in too much of a crowd. That's what it is.
That's what it is.
They go, damn it, the zoo's stealing everybody still.
That's right. It's like the elephant ear at like a health expo. It's just,
yes.
Everybody wants the healthy food, but the elephant ear booth is going to have a line. It just always will. Well, I've had a good weekend too, man. We went to dinner last night, had a great dinner, and a little upset actually. I had a fajita meal, and I got like double the steak that I would normally get.
You were upset.
So yeah, I was upset. Not about that, but I had leftovers, so I boxed it up, and then Jen and I got to talking. And walked out of there, completely forgot my meal. So
no.
I lost all the steak, dude. I was so upset. And so, yeah, just a real bummer. It kind of ruined my whole night. Just got really upset and then went to bed. So that was my night. Cried over steak. Yeah, it's been awful. But hopefully it gets better today. Obviously, we're here. We made it. April 7th, rather. We're recording for April 8th's debut podcast. So pumped about this, and I'm also pumped about, dude, it's WrestleMania weekend. I don't know if you know this or not, but
it is.
So I'm going to try to tune in tonight, watch a little WrestleMania. I try to do that annually. And so, and I tune in from time to time too, just see what's going on in the wrestling world. But I like these old school wrestlers, and usually they all make a cameo during the WrestleMania event. And so that's why I like to tune in. So while we're on the subject, I was going to ask you, like, who's your favorite wrestler of all time? Who would you pick?
Stone Cold.
Ooh, right to the point.
Yep. I'm just going to leave it there. There's nobody better. The guy would run out, smash beers together, drink them, and then beat your ass. There's nobody better.
I love it. I mean, I'm going to go a little older. I'm picking Hollywood Hulk Hogan, dude. So there's different versions of Hulk Hogan, but how do you not like Hogan, man? He is an icon in the business. He's done some questionable things personally, I guess, but God, his character is just second to none. And I am drawn particularly to the Hollywood Hogan version. And so That's the one where he wears the black pants, black shirt. He's got the white Hollywood belt. He's got a black beard with his white mustache, and he's just grinning ear to ear, walking out, playing the air guitar. He's got just a dumb grin on his face. I love him. And, my favorite part of Hollywood, or Hulk Hogan, rather, it doesn't really matter. He does this in all his personas, but he's got the best finisher ever. It's a freaking leg drop, dude. A leg drop off the rope. He literally bounced off the ropes.
It's a casual move.
It is. It's a heavy leg drop. He just drops it right in your throat, crushes your esophagus, and not only does he pin you, but you probably die. So Hogan,
could be death,
bar none, the best. You can't beat it. And I love your Stone Cold pick, but he's my boy. Yeah, man. So that's going on this weekend, and then I'm still getting over this slap war thing on Twitter. Did you catch that?
I did. I joined in a bit.
So did I. So here's the deal. We actually, just so everybody knows, if you're listening to this and you don't know what we're talking about, if you follow us on Twitter, or if you don't follow us on Twitter, you're making a mistake. First of all, you need to get on Twitter and follow us at FF Bros Podcast. But first of all, what happened this week is probably the most fun I've had on Twitter. Another guy literally said it was the most fun he's ever had on Twitter. But what happened was there was a post from a guy on Twitter that was asking for advice on who to listen to and who to follow on Twitter for high quality fantasy football advice. And we got mentioned, which is an honor. Really thankful about that.
Thank you.
Polly's Sleepers, I believe, at Polly Sleepers tossed us a mention, and he's a great guy, by the way. And so tossed us a mention, and we responded with the following: follow us, and we'll slap the knowledge into you. And that followed an animated GIF of Batman slapping.
Makes no sense.
No, makes no sense. But we're gonna slap it into you anyway. And so
that's what's gonna happen.
It was an animated GIF of Batman slapping Robin over and over again. And so that was literally taken to the next level with what's called a slap war. And we hashtagged it, #slap war. And it literally for 2 days trended. We had hundreds and hundreds of comments and other animated GIFs. And literally it was just over and over these animated GIFs of people posting #slap war with a picture, and it was absolutely hilarious. It lasted for 2 days. I thought for sure it was done by morning. It went all night long, literally 48 hours worth. It's died out now, but a lot of people have added the #slap war to their actual Twitter page. It's on ours now, and I think there's another hashtag slap crew if you're a part of the slap war. One guy said I survived the great 2019 slap war. So
yep.
It was absolutely hilarious.
There were people trying to create new leagues based off of it. It was a great time.
I saw that. So 2019 slap war. Look, this is the kind of craziness that's happening on Twitter. If you're not a part of Twitter, get on there.
You're not a part of history.
Yeah, you missed out, but there'll be more. I promise you. We're not going away. So #slap war on Twitter, and follow us at FF Bros Podcast for more stuff just like that. It was absolutely hilarious.
All right, Brian, let's get into some news. It's been one busy offseason, hasn't it? Even like these past week. And I'm getting pretty excited. It's been too long. It's been a couple months.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. The whole period of time between the Super Bowl and now is one of the most depressing parts of the year for me. I feel like a bear that needs to go into hibernation. I need more football.
The only thing I could think of that's more depressing is the space in between your right ear and your left ear, you particularly, because there's no hair in between there. It's just a nice big horizon of baldness.
You know where I don't have space is on my fist. All those championship rings I have. So
okay. C.J. Anderson, the former running back for the Rams, has signed with the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
And Brian, I know you're a Carry On fan. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I was upset at first, man. I saw it, and my immediate reaction was just pure anger. I don't know if it's maybe just they just wanted to bring a guy in to have kind of a backup. The more and more I thought about it, and I kind of dove into the numbers a bit after the signing, I think CJ Anderson's going to fill the role of LeGarrette Blount. The only concern I maybe have with this signing is touchdown vulturing from CJ Anderson. That was the problem last year with LeGarrette. You had this guy. By the way, Kerryon was averaging like 5.5 yards per carry last year. It was
I think
ridiculous.
it was 5.4.
Yeah, and so he was having one hell of a season. And so to see a guy like CJ Anderson sign, I just shook my head. I'm like, why? But you got to have some depth. I think Kerryon's still the guy there. I'm really not as concerned as I was at first. I think it'd be a 70-30 split, and I still see Kerryon, having a pretty good season if you stat out his numbers for last year, even with LeGarrette's involvement all season, he still, had he not gotten injured and went to IR eventually, the guy finishes with 197 points and ends up being the 13th ranked back on ESPN. That's right around the Tariq Cohen range. So I'm not as concerned now.
Yeah, you shouldn't be. CJ's going to be nothing more than a guy that come in to make Kerryon rest, make being the key word, because they're going to run the ball a lot. Darrell Bevel's in town. He loves to run. They just need to keep their guy healthy for the longevity of a season in multiple seasons. So I see that nothing more than a keep Kerryon healthy signing.
Yeah, I agree.
The New York Jets have new uniforms for the first time in 20 years. What are your thoughts on them?
I absolutely love them. I know there's been a lot of pushback on from what I've read on Twitter and just
You'll
online.
Get that, though. Any new uniform.
100%. Even the Seahawks had pushback when they released their uniforms, and arguably the best uniform in the league. And so I like them. I think they're sleek. They're simple. I do think it's funny. There was somebody that posted a picture of a comparison to the green Power Ranger. And so
yeah, I saw the Andy's Candies wrapper too. It was pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought it was funny. There's been a lot of comical stuff out there, but if you compare them to the jersey they just replaced, it's way better. I don't know what people are looking at. I like the switch to the green helmet. Going back to, their green helmet was a good choice. And I like the metallic look to the paint. I think that's really sharp. The jerseys look good. I don't know what the big deal is. So I like it. I think it's a good refresh for the team.
Chris Godwin has been mentioned quite a bit by Bruce Arians. Been quoted saying he sees him fitting the Larry Fitzgerald role. He sees him being a 100 catch candidate. Chris Godwin could be one of those guys that sneaks his way into one of the best wide receivers in fantasy.
Yeah, I think he's the real deal. There's been a lot of hype, but I'm buying it. So, and here's why. I'll explain. So, first and foremost, last year the Bucs defense was one of the worst in the league, and they didn't really do much to address it in the offseason. So I think the defense is going to keep the offense on the field quite a bit. They got to score points. There's no Deshaun Jackson there anymore. No more Adam Humphries. Those guys vacate 117 receptions and 9 touchdowns between the two of them. Those have to go somewhere. They're not going to all go to Godwin, obviously, but
OJ Howard.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's another guy I like this year too. So Godwin, I think, picks up a chunk of those. Last year, he finished with 59 receptions, 7 touchdowns, 842 yards receiving. So I see an uptick in there. I think he's probably like an 80 to 85 catch guy. He's going to be in the slot a little bit more. He could push 100, but I think he's probably going to be in the 80s. And I think he's still good for 7 touchdowns, maybe 8. And look, he's a guy that could top 1,000 yards receiving if he can catch it and have a good yard after the catch number. I think he could do really well. So to get a guy that could be a top 15 wide receiver or top 20 wide receiver, get him in the 5th, I think he's a good value there. So I like him.
Yeah, I definitely see him creeping up. Jordan Howard recently traded from the Chicago Bears over to the Philadelphia Eagles, and I'm actually pretty excited. I think it's a pretty good fit for him. It's a team that's been looking to kind of fill that role for a long time. They've been trying to put people like LeGarrette Blount, Jay Ajayi. Last year, they put Josh Adams in because of the injury to Ajayi, and they haven't found that hard-hitting running back in a long time, and Jordan Howard is that guy. A lot of people look at his declining efficiency over the last couple years as a decline in him, but I just see it as a misusage. Last year, Matt Nagy, very high pass attempts on the team, and Jordan Howard, as we know, is not a pass-catching back. So every time he came into the field, it was very predictable. They were going to run the ball. So teams would just stack that box, and that's one of the reasons why the team traded him, because the offense just came a little bit more predictable with him out there, and it was nothing against him. It was just more so of that offensive fit.
I guess I kind of disagree. I look at the Eagles team. It's not Jordan Howard. I think Jordan Howard's talented. And, I think it's the Eagles is the issue. I look at the team and I think I just look at, they've got Wendell Smallwood still there, Darren Sproles, that they've left the door open for him to come back. And they always seem to be a team that schemes the running back based on the game plan. And so, if they've got a team that's weak in passing against running backs, they seem to run Smallwood and stuff out there a little bit more. That seemed to be the case last year. Even when Adams was out there, doing his thing, Smallwood was still involved. And so I just, I don't know. Jordan Howard seems, you can get him in the 7th round, late 7th right now. ADP on Fantasy Football Calculators is where he's kind of running it in a half point PPR. So, if you can get him in the late 7th, maybe that's where he's valued. I don't think I'd take him prior to that. I think you think he's a steal there. I think he's valued at that spot. So I think the story is more with the Chicago Bears with Tariq Cohen. That's where I think this trade really opened some windows. I think Chicago looked at this and said, hey, look here, if you look at Howard's numbers with Chicago, 250 carries, 935 yards, and 9 touchdowns. Not bad. The numbers look pretty decent, but the yards per attempt really not all that great, 3.7 yards per attempt. And I think Chicago just looked at Cohen, 99 carries, 444 yards, 3 touchdowns, averaging 4.5 yards per attempt. And I think they see more efficiency there and figured, hey, we can move Howard, get some draft compensation for him, and then we can increase the role for Cohen. 99 carries last year. I think he's good for 200 carries. I think it's going to be a 60-40 split between him and Mike Davis. And I think Mike Davis kind of is the short yards and, pounding downs back. He'll fill the Jordan Howard role a little bit, but I think they're going to shift more of the carries to Tariq, and I think that's why they moved him. So I think Cohen's a solid RB2, and he obviously has that boom factor too, where he could break one off for a pretty gnarly touchdown. So I like Cohen through this story.
Yeah, I like Cohen a lot too. But I also like Jordan Howard and like you. But then again, you have pretty poor vision and intellect most of the time. So moving on, DeMarcus Lawrence, defensive end for the Dallas Cowboys, signed a $105 million contract extension. Wow. $31.1 million in the first year.
Yeah, big time. Good for him. Well deserved. The guy's a stud. So that Cowboys defense is going to be nasty this year. I think I read an NFL.com article. I thought it was pretty interesting. They kind of went through why they could be the top defense this year. So that linebacker core is nasty. The front four is really nasty. So as long as they stay healthy, but well deserved, he earned every bit of that.
Yeah, they've made some interesting moves on defense this year. It's said that the Arizona Cardinals have at least 2 offers for last year's first-round pick, Josh Rosen. Pretty interesting.
That's what I've heard. That's what I've heard too. So I read a Arizona beat reporter had mentioned that they had a couple of suitors. It seemed like there were some people some teams interested, but one of the biggest rumored teams is the Giants. But I just read that it seems like the Giants might not be too hot on him, and so they're not super impressed. And so it could be them just trying to lower the draft value, but yeah. I don't see Rosen in a Cardinals uniform this year. I think they draft a quarterback.
One final update. The Ravens recently worked out Eddie Lacy.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe they want a good water boy for Mark Ingram. So maybe they want a guy to stand on the sidelines and say, hey, Mark Ingram, don't look like this dude. So
might not be drinking a lot of water.
Yeah, I'm not a big Eddie Lacy fan. I don't know why they're even working him out, but hey, maybe they just need some depth.
Or some humor. I'm not sure. Okay, moving on. Let's talk free agency.
Show me the money! Jerry, you better yell! Show me the money!
There were quite a few players screaming, show me the money this offseason. One of them, in particular, Le'Veon Bell, was screaming it more than others, and he got it.
Yeah, he did. Although not as much as I think he was hoping for. I mean, he was being offered virtually the same contract with the Steelers last year.
More.
And he sat out a whole season to just get basically the same contract or a little bit less. I think he was hoping to really hit the bank and realized pretty quickly that, hey, nobody's going to pay you that much. I think. And now you look back, he wanted out of Pittsburgh. He got out of Pittsburgh. Good for him. He's going to ball this year, dude. I like him in New York. I know you do too.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be Lev Bell that we've always seen. And I think he's going to be an absolute stud. So I'm
Yeah,
hot
I'm high
on
on him
Bell.
too.
I think he's going to be great. Draft him.
Yeah, it wasn't a matter of where he went because we knew he was going to get the share of that offense, no matter what team it was. But going to the Jets, he's going to get a lot of carries. Adam Gase loves to run the football, has produced some top-end running backs in his offenses, going all the way back to players like Noshawn Moreno, which a lot of people may not remember. But he's
Back in
produced
the
some high
day.
players. And nobody really with the skill sets that Le'Veon Bell has on his team. So I see a lot of opportunity here for him. I know people are not really high on the offensive line, but the thing is, they're going to improve. They've brought people in. They're going to draft offensive linemen. Le'Veon Bell is going to be fine.
Yeah, I agree.
Antonio Brown, if nobody's heard, has been traded to the Oakland Raiders. And a lot of us are sitting here saying, what's that do to him? Is that going to improve? Is it going to hurt?
What do you think?
I definitely think it's going to hurt him. I don't see him as the number one wideout anymore, like he used to be. But the thing is, he's still, in my head, he's still a top 10 guy. John Gruden loves to throw the football. He's fed some really big mouths before in guys like Antonio Bryant, Joey Galloway, even Jerry Rice. So I'm not worried with that. I'm more so worried about the person throwing to him. Derek Carr is a downgrade in my eyes from Ben Roethlisberger. Maybe not a huge one. A lot of people see him as this average quarterback, and I think he's a little bit better than average, but he's just been in so many different offensive systems that it hasn't worked out.
Yeah, so I feel the same way you do about Antonio Brown. I think he's still a wide receiver 1 and probably probably top 10, 100%, I think, top 10. And I still think he's going to be somebody you have to absolutely draft him, but there might be some inconsistency there depending. Look, the team around him is not the greatest. They don't really have anybody at running back. They recently signed Isaiah Crowell, which is a good signing for them for value, but let's face it, he's not elite. So he's not going to be your guy there long term, I hope. And I think Carr is still a good quarterback. And as a matter of fact, I actually was doing some research on him. I don't know if you know this, but he's actually one of the most accurate quarterbacks in the league. Last year, he ranked in the top 5 for accuracy, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't think Carr is a terrible quarterback. I don't think he's elite, but I also don't think he's terrible. I think Antonio Brown's still going to be the same Antonio Brown from a film standpoint. He's going to have tons of separation. His footwork is unbelievable. So I think there's going to be some good value there. I think Carr actually could be a sleeper at quarterback, at least for a streaming standpoint. I think he'll be a streamable quarterback. But look, the Raiders had one of the worst defenses in the league last year. They were last in points allowed, and they haven't really done anything to address it in the offseason other than just accumulate a ton of draft picks last year. So I expect them to address the defense in the draft. I don't know about you, but I think they'll draft a heavy defensive draft this year. So that's my thoughts on Antonio Brown. I think he's still wide receiver 1. You got to draft him, but don't expect him to be the elite Antonio Brown that he was in Pittsburgh.
Mark Ingram went looking for a starting running back position, and he found one with, in my opinion, the best team he could have landed with, the Baltimore Ravens. Lots of opportunity here. They've lost a lot of backs. Javorius Allen's gone. Ty Montgomery's gone. Alex Collins is gone. Really only person there is Gus Edwards at running back. And with those guys gone, they vacate 170 carries total between them and about 60 total targets in the receiving game as well. And unlike a lot of people think, Mark Ingram is actually a pretty good receiving back. Over his career, he's had about a 76% catch rate, which puts him along the lines of Le'Veon Bell, somebody else that catches the ball very well. So I see a lot of opportunity for him here. He's going to catch some balls. He's going to eat up most of those 170 attempts, and I think even pull some away from Gus Edwards. But let's say he doesn't, and he only gets that. We're still looking at someone who's going to put somewhere over the 1,000 yards from scrimmage mark, and he's always been known for scoring touchdowns because he's a bigger guy. So those touchdowns are what's going to bring in those final fantasy points and really make him shine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't really have much to add to that. I think you covered it, perfectly. I think he's going to ball this year, and I think the Ravens were the perfect spot for him to land. Should be a good team. I as far as the running goes, that they should be. I think they'll stat out as one of the top rushing offenses in the league, if not the. So yeah, definitely Mark Ingram should be targeted and targeted heavily in your fantasy drafts this year.
And he's going so late, in my opinion. I think it's a steal. The guy could end up being a top 10 running back with the volume that he's going to get and some of those touchdowns. It's just, I don't see why he's going so late.
Well, I think the reason he might be going later is the fear that Lamar Jackson is going to snake away some of the touchdowns and some of those runs, on option runs and stuff like that. So, which is a legit concern. I think I think they'll pull that back a bit. No way the Ravens are going, last year I think they ran all that stuff with Lamar because it was working. So why not just keep rolling with it? I think they've had a whole offseason to really build the offensive playbook around Lamar and Ingram now at this point. So I don't expect it to be quite like it was last year. But look, Lamar, his instinct is sometimes to pull it and take off. And so those are going to eat into Mark Ingram's carries. So I think that's maybe why there's some fear there. So he's sliding a bit. But look, if you've got another back if you've got another back in the first and you can snag the guy later in the draft as your RB2 or even a 3, I mean, geez, I think you're sitting pretty.
Finally, OBJ was traded from the New York Giants, and I know you aren't surprised. Some people might be, but you called this.
Yeah, I did. I thought that 100% OBJ was going to get traded this year. If you looked at the situation in New York, you have OBJ in his prime right now, and to me, I looked at the Giants and I immediately said, these guys are rebuilding. Like last year, they took a sharp right during the season to start rebuilding, and it was very clear. I think they hung on to Eli this year because they really, they didn't really have anybody in the free agency that they wanted to sign. I think they want to draft a young quarterback or bring in a guy, i.e. Rosen. And so I think that could be an option. They bring in Rosen, run with Eli this year, let Rosen sit behind him for a year and learn from a Pro Bowl guy. But, it's going to take them 2 or 3 years to rebuild this team. And why not trade a guy like OBJ who, by the time you get the team rebuilt, he's past his prime. And so let's get some compensation for him now. I kind of gritted my teeth when I saw what they got for him. I thought they could have done better, but still, why not get some draft compensation for this guy now to help you rebuild for the future? You can find another, you might not find another OBJ, but you can find wide receivers in the draft and rebuild your team. And so when I saw the trade, it did not shock me at all. And hats off to Cleveland for, in my opinion, stealing him and adding a huge talent to an already stacked roster. I know everybody's hot on Cleveland. I'm just as hot as everybody else, I think. But, I mean, geez, they've got the talent to do it and do it at a high level this year. I think they could really put some damage on some people and really make a deep run in the playoffs. I don't know that they're Super Bowl bound this year. I think people need to pump the brakes a bit on that. I saw somebody talking about.
Yeah, there's no way.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is an upgrade for Baker and an upgrade for the overall offense, and especially even for the running game. I think Chubb benefits from it. Obviously, defenses need to scheme for OBJ. But I saw somebody's rankings with Baker Mayfield as the third-ranked quarterback. I think Baker's going to ball out, but let's not be overreacting here. The third-ranked quarterback is a little childish. We got to stop that stuff. So they're going to ball. They're going to have a great season. There could be some growing pains, but I like OBJ.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Baker in the top 3 is ridiculous, but OBJ in the top 3, I love. The only person I could think of is Devontae Adams, who is going to get more touchdowns, in my opinion, than him, and a little bit more target share of the offense. So, but OBJ, he's going to be a stud. All right, Brian, let's play some games. Let's play Would You Rather. We reached out to Twitter, asked for some of our followers to give us some ideas for Would You Rather, and we got some really good ones. Some really, really good ones out there. So we're going to go ahead and read some. Brian, I think you have one ready.
Love this. So a lot of responses, by the way, and we wanted to pick 2. We would both read one out. And so the Would You Rather that I got off of Twitter is, would you rather have 4 first-round picks and 4 10th-round picks, or would you rather have 4 third-round picks and 4 fourth-round picks?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll go first. I'm going to go with the 4 firsts and 10s. Just mainly because those 4 first-round picks, you're not going to reproduce that production in the third or the fourth with your 4 picks there. You're going to get tier 1 players on all 4 of those. And then pick 10, or round 10, you have some solid steals there. You got QBs, top-notch QBs. You got Phillip Rivers. You got your Ben Roethlisbergers, all in the 10th round that you can take easily. And then, yeah, I'm going firsts and 10s.
Got it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think I'm going to take first and 10s as well for the exact same reasons. You're not going to duplicate with the talent you're getting in the first. You're going to take 4 first-round picks. You're going to lose one of them to injury. That's typical. And so you net out 3. Look, if you land Zeke, OBJ, and Hopkins, you're bulldozing. Just with those 3 guys, you're bulldozing. Then you can stream quarterbacks. Yep. I'll take quarterback in the 10th round. I don't care about that. So heck, I'll take a tight end in the 10th round. So I'll stream tight ends and quarterbacks and just load up on running backs and wide receivers in the first. So yeah, 100%.
All right. This one comes in from Kimmy03. Would you rather be all-knowing or all-powerful?
Oh my God. All-knowing or all-powerful? I think I would rather be. I'm going to pick all-knowing, and because knowledge is power, and you can be powerful, but I'll just outsmart you every time.
Look at this. Already trying to use the knowledge. But I thought you were going to say, I want that one because it's the one I don't have.
That is also accurate, and so I've always wanted it. Right now I have
put that on the record.
But I want the knowledge.
See, I'm going to be the opposite. I'm going to go with all powerful because I don't care how smart you are. I'm going to be the Hulk, and I'm going to destroy everything. Good luck beating me. I'm faster. I'm stronger. I am Smasher. I'm the best.
Smasher. Is that like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? I am Smasher.
It's a new superhero that I just made and needs to be created for Marvel. I'll go ahead and give him a call.
God. Call him Smasher.
Pick up that phone. All right. And I was going to do...
He's not smart at all. By the way, he has no brains. He just runs around smashing stuff. So
that's actually the only words he knows. Smash! Smash!
Oh, God.
It's the best. I was only going to do 2 for this segment, but there was one, and I know that caught your eye. I'm going to do it too. This one comes in from 3 Coast Sports. Would you rather fight 100 Tariq Cohens or 25 DK Metcalfs? What?
Oh my God, I did read this one and I was in tears. So can you imagine, I'm just going to put it out there, like you're just walking down the street and you look to your right, you've got 25 DK Metcalfs just coming at you. No shirt, flexing everything, just yelling, you're going to die. And then you look to your left and there's 100 Tariq Cohens running at lightning speed towards you.
You're not outrunning
also
them.
No shirts, but maybe have swords. And so, and
no. There's no weapons.
It doesn't matter what you pick here. You're dead no matter what.
You're losing.
The average guy, you're gone. And so, I think if that's the case, Tariq Cohen is going to be more painful. Hear me out. Only because it's going to take longer for him to kill you. Sure, there's 100 of them, but it's going to take longer. So you're going to feel it longer. So I'm going to take the 25 DK Metcalfs because I think it gets over with quicker. I might die before he actually touches me. I might just have a heart attack. So there's that.
It's an interesting take, but it's also an awful take. I'm going 100 Tariq Cohens all day because then I can at least bounce on top of them like Goombas from Mario, and I can just bounce on out of there.
He's taller than you. How are you bouncing on him?
I'm gonna use my
Oh,
smasher
man, I love
powers.
that.
I'm gonna smash the
You're
ground up in the air,
That's right.
bounce on them like Goombas. I'm out of here.
You see Tariq going, and you go. It's like Shazam. You yell "Smasher!" and you turn into your super alter ego.
I turn into a massive fist. That's the superhero. It's just one big fist, and he just hits things.
Like the Green Lantern.
Absolutely.
Oh man, that's good stuff.
Lord.
Well played.
All right.
Well played. Whoever had that question.
Yeah, very good question. This next game is called Who Do You Choose? And in this one, we're going to be choosing who in the second round we think could end up with a first round value. So I'll start.
I'm so excited about this, by the way. I've been waiting for months to get to this segment. I've got my
I'm
pick.
Gonna choose.
It's going to blow you away, dude.
Good luck, because mine's better. Mine's going to be what some people think the obvious choice is. But in this circumstance, the obvious choice is the right choice. Julio Jones, I've seen dropping into the middle of the second round, and it's blasphemy. This guy is a rig. He's going to get you the most yards in the league out of everybody else. He's going to get the catches and the targets. Only thing he needs is more consistent touchdowns. And he's a top 3 wide receiver. If you add that in, the guy's a steal. Julio Jones in the second round, take him all day.
Yeah, if you can get him in the second round. So I know you said he's been dropping, in some of the mock drafts you've done. Fantasy Football Calculator has him in the late first, so that's interesting. But I'm gonna beat you up with this guy. You can even if you get Julio in the first round, I think this guy can actually outproduce Julio. I picked David Johnson right now. Fantasy Football Calculator has him at the right around the turn in the second round, so like the 201 or the 202. And so I think David Johnson is a steal at that spot. This guy has the potential. Look, 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, I'm sorry. So he was injured in 2017, and last year had a rough season. The offense struggled, but he still had a great year given the fact that he was on the worst offense in the league. And so I think they improve. And I think David Johnson has a chance to resurge into like his 2016 year, where look, this guy was the 101 in a lot of 2017 drafts. He hurt people. I know. I drafted him, and I lost him for the whole season after the first game. But I'm picking David Johnson. I feel great about that pick, and I think he outdoes Julio Jones, to be quite honest, or has the potential.
Interesting. If that offensive line has improved, I can see it happen, but that offensive line is garbage.
But don't you think they could have a kind of a Matt Nagy effect in Arizona? Maybe not as much, but David Johnson is a dynamic dude, and he can really hurt you in the passing game. And I think they're going to use him a lot in the passing game. I think they're going to create some dynamic offensive formations, get him involved quite a bit. They'll have him in motion quite a bit, and that will help alleviate the bad offensive line. But I think they'll improve it a little bit. And, if they draft a quarterback, if Rosen's not back there, I think look out. I think David Johnson could be a guy that really breaks out again this year.
Well, I think he's going to be certainly looking out, because there's going to be a lot of defensive players coming right after him. Again, that offensive line needs fixing.
I think you need to look out for me in the parking lot.
Moving on. This is Broz Battle, where Brian and I are going to go ahead and head-to-head debate, argue, fight, destroy, whatever you may want to call it. Not to the death. Don't listen to him.
No?
We're going to be very alive. And
That's fair.
I'm going to win.
I don't want to die.
Well, you're going to die intellectually, because I'm about to destroy you. Our argument this week is a debate on a little guy named Mitch Trubisky and his upcoming 2019 season, and where we both rank him. There's quite the disparity, and I'm going to go ahead and just say mine's right.
Well, I don't know about that, dude. Look, here's the deal. For our listeners, Chad has Mitch Trubisky ranked as his 18th quarterback.
18. I'm not ashamed.
And you should be ashamed of yourself. So here's the deal. Bears fans rejoice. I, Brian Davidson, have Mitch Trubisky ranked as my 13th ranked running back.
Running back. Interesting.
Nope.
It makes
Interesting.
sense.
Yep.
It
Quarterback
makes
is what I
sense
meant
that
to
he's a
say.
running back to you because that's the
Well,
only thing he's good
he
at.
could be. Well, he could be. So he's my 13th ranked quarterback, and here's why. So Chad has. I want everybody to know this. Our rankings are going to get updated here soon, and you'll see this online. But Chad has Mitch Trubisky ranked behind Tom Brady, Jameis Winston, and Dak Prescott. Shame on you. Okay.
Easy.
Let me go through Mitch's stats and why you should be ashamed of yourself. 2018, Mitch finished the season, ESPN rankings, 263 points on the season, and ranked 15th overall as quarterbacks. The guy missed 2 games to injury. You add in those 2 games. If you just add in those 2 games, by the way, with Chase Daniels' numbers, when they got the quarterback that replaced him for those 2 games, you add 30 points to the season. He finishes the season with 293 points, which ranks him as the 10th ranked overall quarterback behind Russell Wilson on the season. So, and that's with a slow start to the season. The guy, I mean, he wasn't crushing it for the first 3 weeks. So he got off to a slow start in the Matt Nagy system. I think they kind of figured it out around week 4. And you've added weapons in Chicago. They've added wide receiver Cordell Patterson. They've added wide receiver Marvin Hall. Both of those guys, speedsters. They're adding a lot of speed to that offense. They want it to be fast, i.e. Tariq Cohen's. I think his role is gonna increase, and all of this is gonna be great for Mitch. So put those 2 games back in, and the guy's ranked in the top 10 last year. I have him ranked as 13th. And that's not because I think he's going to do worse than last year. It's because I think there's going to be players or quarterbacks that do better, i.e. Aaron Rodgers and such. So I got him ranked 13th. 18th is absolutely ridiculous, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm not, because it makes sense that he's 18. You just mentioned that Tariq Cohen is going to do well. He's going to need to do well because Mitch is not a good QB. He's not a good QB. All of his statistics last year, yards per attempt, completion percentage, touchdown percentage, interception percentage. The guy is average. Every one of those categories, he was league average. And that's who he is. Mitch Trubisky is an average quarterback at best. Last season was his best.
But look, I'm not going to argue with you that he's an average quarterback. I think he's above average. I think he's slightly above average. But look, Mitch Trubisky's a good quarterback in a really, really good system with a really, really good coach. And look, here's a perfect example. You don't have to be a dynamic quarterback to be a top fantasy quarterback. Look at Blake Bortles, perfect example. I think Blake Bortles is an average quarterback or maybe worse.
That's perfect. Let's compare him to Blake Bortles, because Blake Bortles, with a very similar type of talent around him, particularly one guy, Allen Robinson, Blake Bortles was a much better fantasy quarterback than Mitch is. He's put together some very good seasons. Blake's bad, and I'm not saying he's a better quarterback than Mitch because he's not good. But Blake Bortles could do more with the same talents than Mitch could fantasy-wise. You know what Mitch is good at, though? You already said it, running. And they ran the ball 68 times with him last season.
Yep.
Guess what other quarterback put up those types of numbers? Russell Wilson. He had 67 carries. Mitch Trubisky had more carries than Russell Wilson. You think that's going to happen again? No.
Why won't it? Like, give me a reason why it won't.
Because they need him to stay healthy. Those 2 games he missed, how'd they do?
Hey, I think they won one of them, so I don't think they did bad. I mean, here's the deal. They may have won them both. I'll have to look. I'm going to look and see. Twitter, help me out on that. But here's the deal. Blake Bortles is a terrible quarterback. You know, I'd grade him as an average talent, and he had a lot of talent around him. And there's a reason he's not in Jacksonville anymore, and Nick Foles is there. And there's a reason he's a backup quarterback now. So the deal is Mitch Trubisky is a better quarterback talent-wise than Blake Bortles. And for if you even say he's not, that I can't. I don't even know if I can talk to you anymore. You're
not arguing. Clearly, you weren't listening.
So here's the deal.
I said that.
Here's the deal. Mitch Trubisky is a slightly above average quarterback right now at worst. Could be better. We've had average. 2 years to watch him in 2 different systems. He excelled in the system he was in last year. I think they've had they'll have another offseason to improve upon the system and mold it even more towards Mitch's abilities and the things that he's good at. And so that being said, I think Mitch has a great season. I think he probably gets off to a hot start depending on what defenses they're playing. And I think you're crazy. So
yeah, one final point. Mitch Trubisky's nickname is Mr. Biscuit. That's because he's soft.
Is it really?
And he's flaky.
I like him even more. I want
much
to
like you.
Mr. Biscuit.
Mr.
What's your nickname?
Biscuit.
What's your nickname?
Best.
Best, huh? I got a question for you. You want to put a bet on it? I'll bet you right now, Mitch over under 15th ranked quarterback.
You want to put 5 on it?
I'll put 5 on it.
I got 5 on it.
Easiest
We'll add
money.
that to the website. It's
Easiest
easy
money
for me. So Twitter, we want to know who do you think wins this battle? We're gonna put a poll up and we'll share the results next week. But we want to know, who do you think wins this battle? Is Chad Moore right about Mitch Trubisky and his abilities and his fantasy season coming up? Or do you side with me and where Mitch Trubisky's ranked? Again, Chad is ranked Mitch at 18. I've got him at 13.
Well, everybody, that does it for today's show. Tune in every Monday for a weekly episode to keep you up to date on the fantasy football world and insights on how to dominate your fantasy football league. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, or wherever it is you listen to your favorite podcasts. We're everywhere. You can also watch us on YouTube. If you like the show, feel free to give us a review. We always love hearing from our listeners, and Brian's ego loves to get built up from time to time as well. Follow us on Twitter at FFBros Podcast, and you can also check out our website at thefantasyfootballbros.com. See you next week.
Bye, everybody.